Hey there, good morning, and in this video, as it says in the title, I'm going to talk about why I think this GPX TSE 300 two-stroke is the best value, dollar for dollar value dirt bike that you can get in 2024, 2023 if you get an older one, and also touch on why I think it also is just an all-around good dirt bike for multiple disciplines. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the value. 6,800, 6,900 plus 400, around 400 for shipping. It kind of depends on where you live, and some states charge you taxes. So you might be getting up to like close to 7. But the argument I constantly get is, well, I could buy a major brand, a big 5 brand bike for close to that, or I can get a used version of that. So I'm going to address used. Why would you want a used bike over a new bike? And my reasoning behind that is no one else has owned, when you get a new one, no one else has owned it. No one's abused it. You don't know the service history. You don't know if people have done their oil changes. You don't know if they've tightened spokes and, done things to the bike. You don't know because you didn't own it. It's a used bike. And while I get that you could go through it and do your work, if you're not a really good mechanic, you don't necessarily know what you're getting. As someone who's flipped a bunch of bikes, I've flipped, somewhere like up over maybe 60 or something like that, a bunch of bikes, mostly two-strokes. I can tell you, people don't do maintenance on their bikes. I can tell you that right off the bat. Especially younger folks today, even their parents, they're not mechanically inclined. They just don't know these things. They don't know what they don't know. I don't hold it against them. I'm just saying a lot of people don't know basic maintenance or don't care enough to do it. The bikes are pretty dang good these days. So they go out there, they kick start it, they electric start it and ride off into the sunset, and it just goes until it breaks, and then they take it to the dealer and pay the dealer's costs to get it done. And then used bike versus new bike. Think about the suspension. You're wearing down the components inside. So if you're not totally rebuilding them when you buy the used bike, you get that question mark. You don't really know what you're getting. So that's as far as I'm going to go with that. I would take a new bike over a used bike anytime. So the people that come at me with that one, I just kind of laugh. The second thing is, a lot of people seem to be saying to me, well, I can get this bike or this brand bike for close to what you got for the GPX, and I can get service and I can get support. So this particular bike, it is the closest to the other brands. As a matter of fact, I won't say it's a copy because I really don't feel it is. There are things that are so different that it's not a direct copy. But it's the closest I've seen. And I've seen a ton of these China bikes. So off-brand bikes, China bikes, whatever you want to call them. And it does take a certain person. You have to be a certain person to get involved. But there's more parts availability for this bike than any of the other China bikes that I've seen out there. There's more support from GPX USA out in Utah. They've stepped up their service support with hiring Joe Henner, who used to have his own service center and do suspension and motor work. They brought him in. He's a certified mechanic with like tons of years of experience. If you're interested in this, you've probably seen his name before because he's such a good mechanic. He does different mod work for these bikes and everything. So bringing him on board and having him as tech support, basically, when people have problems, is helping the brand. The bike itself doesn't need much. I mean, it's essentially they don't like me to say the comparison, but I think everybody kind of knows now. It's been around long enough. This is essentially, in a lot of ways, a KTM, a 2017 to 2019 KTM, the carbureted versions of the 300 XE and XEW. And therefore, you can get after anything you could get for a KTM, you could get for this bike. And you can still, I'm saying that not that I want to direct you to go to buy those parts from them. I would tell you to get it from GPX. Get the bike, get the parts, call them when you need something, call them for support, and go that way. But, Gary Goodwin over there, the owner at Moto Toys USA, who imports the bikes, he stands behind these, and he's constantly in contact with them over there, making changes when they need to make changes in the assembly line and problems that they find, and the next ones don't have it. And they're constantly changing and upgraded. So this bike, again, I'm going to say, is the best dollar for dollar value for a full-size bike in the marketplace right now. You can, it is a two-stroke. I like two-strokes. You can see I have a four-stroke behind me, but I prefer the two-strokes. I like how the power comes on. I like how easy they are to work on and repair. And just, I think 300 is the exact size. 300 cc's is the exact size you need. 250's a little, they're good. There's nothing wrong with 250s. But I just think 300 gives you a little bit more, and this particular engine with the counterbalancer and 300 cc's also gives you the grunt. So it is kind of like a four-stroke in a way that you get that low end that you don't normally get, like, as an example, a Yamaha YZ250X. I recently had the opportunity to ride one of those, and it's just like the old two-stroke motocross, real pipey, real quick to rev, real, you got to get on it to make it even go. So anyways, getting back to value and comparison. So some people were saying to me to look into it. So I did. The closest bike that I found to this price point on this GPX is the Yamaha YZ250X. They're about $1,000, $1,500 difference. MSRP. Remember that if you go through a dealer, the big five dealers, you're also paying almost $1,500 more to get it out the door, and that's not including if you finance it. Because they're going to charge their paperwork, they're going to charge their taxes, they're going to charge their setup fee, they're going to charge their destination fees, blah, blah, blah. They're going to keep on, and a lot of times it gets to be like $1,500. I priced them. I priced my local dealer, and I couldn't believe it. And I don't know if some of you people follow me on my social. I did the same thing for a KTM. A KTM 300 XCW was going for almost 14, and they were having a sale at 12. But then they were putting back $1,500 on all their fees. This thing, let's call it 7 out the door to your house, delivered the way that they do. I can't, just can't compare. The value is different. But going back to the Yamaha especially, because a lot of people have been talking to me about that. Remember that Yamaha has a couple of things that are different than this bike as it comes stock. As you see, my bike is not stock. I've removed things from it. I've made it more motocross worthy. But in stock form, the Yamaha is a 5-speed. And it's kickstart only. It's not counterbalance. It's not a counterbalance engine. It doesn't have hydraulic clutch, and it doesn't have electric start. So think about that right there. This bike is less, and it has well over $1,000, $1,500 worth of goodies that the other bike doesn't, that the Yamaha doesn't even have. So people also talk about reliability and parts and resale value. Resale value I'll give you. Because these are newer to the marketplace, they just don't have the reputation. They've not been around long enough to really hold resale value. Out west they do. I want to say, a lot of times in California and Utah and some of those places out there, the resale value is better than it is here on the East Coast. But yeah, that's a hit, and I don't know how you fix that. That's just is what it is. I say you keep the thing as long as you can. You just keep on trucking, keep it, and you've made money all along. You've paid less to get it. You've paid less for parts. The overall value of keeping it is less than having the competition's bikes. When we get to comparing it to the KTMs, yeah, the KTMs definitely are the tip of the spear and have, the greatest suspension. They have the greatest, all the technology. But I wanted to, just technology-wise, I do want to remind people, a carb is simple to take care of. You jet it. It may not always be the crispest because jetting is different than fuel injection. But with fuel injection on these KTMs, you've got servos that run the power valve. You have mapping that controls your ignition. And from what I understand, a lot of people are not happy with that. The previous generation were the transfer port injections, and they had oil injection, and they would be blowing up in seasoned engines because of the oil pump problems. They also were having problems with the electronic, forget what they call it, the solenoid. There was a solenoid or an electronic piece that would stick, and your engine either wouldn't run or it would seize and have problems. So this bike is in its simplest form of a two-stroke. Straight, mechanically advanced power valve, hydraulic clutch, electric start, reed valve, two-stroke reed valve carbureted. The suspension is it's really good. A lot of people tell you it's basically WP suspension, and that is true with some exceptions of materials that they use. Thread pitch is different on certain mounting bolts. The piston size within the shock is different. But you can use a lot of the components, like suspension services I've noticed have been actually working on these GPXs because they're so similar to other brands, to the the WP stuff. This bike is set up for motocross. My buddy Joe at GPX set it up for me. So it's stiffer all the way around. Haven't had any problems. I have, 20 some odd hours on it now. And, power is great. Suspension is great. Maybe not designed for motocross, but if you do cross country, enduro, hare scrambles, score type races out west, trail riding in the east here, just, if you just do goat path trail, anything like that, you can't go wrong with this thing. You really can't. It's sprung correctly for that type of riding. Its power is right for that type of riding. It does have enough low end grunt. It's a 6-speed, not a 5-speed, so you can really go up if you like fast fire roads. This thing will haul. It will haul the mail. If you just want to grunt around, it works that way too. It's almost like a 4-stroke in the way that it does that. The componentry is just amazing. The triple clamps, the split triple clamps, billet, really good thick spokes. Don't have any kind of problems with the spokes and the rims anymore with these kind of bikes. Good wide foot pegs with the little screw-in attachments to give you better grip. The tires, yeah, maybe I probably would switch out the tires from stock, but they'll run you till you get new ones. O-ring chain. I mean, it comes with so much of the componentry that some of these other bikes don't come with. Aluminum kickstand. Oh man. Oh, yes. A lot of them don't have this. This bike comes with a light and a speedometer that has a tach and mileage, a tachometer, speedometer, odometer, all combo together. Obviously, it's removed on my bike, but it comes stock with that. It comes with a big tank. I have a small tank on here, obviously. Changing it for motocross, I put on a smaller tank, but you know, plastic, graphics, everything seat. The seat is really good. It's got good foam and it's got a gripper seat on it. Levers are good. Hydraulic clutch, like I said. Electric start. I just think dollar for dollar, all the components that you get, the higher end components that you start with. Yeah, another thing, sorry, the plated pipe. You know, it's not that raw material. It's like a chrome kind of plated pipe that's ribbed. It's actually kind of strong. I don't see why people would change out the stock one. I think we're just kind of convinced that we need to do that by the media, motocross media or off-road riding media. And I think you really don't need it. I would keep it on there until I dented it or something. I wouldn't mess with it. It comes with a plastic skid plate even. That's another thing. So you get a lot for your money. And your starting point is less than anything I can think of. Like I said, the Yamaha was the closest thing I could think, and it was almost $1,500 more, just MSRP. So I encourage anybody to give this a chance. If you can get someone to, if you can get a ride on it and try it, that'd be awesome. But I know a lot of you can't do that. You just have to trust in reviews. A lot of people have reviewed this bike. I'm going to put some links in the description. If you've heard of Meg's Brap, she does like really hard enduro. Robbo Robinson over in the UK. I'm going to put some links to their videos. They've done more extensive ride video footage of this bike, so you can kind of get a better feel than even what I'm doing. I've just done motocross, and I haven't made a lot of videos, to be honest. The weather hasn't been cooperating lately, and I've been sick. But so, having said that, I also want to tell you that if you order the bike directly if you call GPX Moto, and you order direct, there's a code in there. There's a place for a code for a discount. You can put my code DBD102. So it stands for Dirt Bike Dave, my number 102. And get yourself a little discount. They should take some off for you, help you out with that. And it helps me too. It helps this channel. So again, I would say you can't go wrong with this thing. Oh, and some people always also say too, like, yeah, but they don't come with the manual, or they don't come with this, or I don't get the sport. Okay. Again, this is like a KTM. Just almost everything is exact to that as far as when it comes to using that as a guide or a manual. Some things are different, and you'll get in there and you'll see that it's different. Or you can use the Rocky Mountain ATV parts, OEM parts. They do the exploded parts when you order them. That gives you a good idea of how everything goes together and how it looks on the inside, and it doesn't cost you anything to do that, to get one of those. But you can also get a service manual, a KTM, like a 2017 or 2018 service manual, and some sections won't apply, but for the most part, engine work wise, it'll be very similar, if not exactly the same in certain things. People worry about parts and support. Online support, you can either contact GPX. They're really great about it. There's tons of groups. I have one, the GPX owner, TSE 300 owners group. There's the GPX Pitster Pro Cove group, and I believe there's another one in the UK, GPX tech support, or I forget what it's called, to be honest, but you can get help that way. Tons of people are willing to help you online. You know, you can find just about everything you need, and people will help you. So I don't feel like, if you have some mechanical ability and you've had bikes like this before, that you wouldn't have the support that you have from any other brand. Other than the only thing is you just can't go walk down to the street, walk down and get your parts right off the shelf. They come, you know, even if you have, they do have dealerships out there, and even if you deal with a dealer, they're not going to be stocking stuff. But I want to tell you, having worked on some bikes for some friends recently, we have a power sport dealer that is a Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki, KTM dealer. And I've, you know, done some work for all three of those brands recently. They don't stock the parts either. It takes me 4 days to get them, usually. 3 or 4 days to get. They order it, takes 3 or 4 days. So it's the same scenario. You're waiting for parts a lot of times. So I'm going to call it there. I'm going to call this video good. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. Please like the video. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe if you're into this kind of thing. And I will catch you on the next one.